Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirits. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. I'm really excited about this week's show as I have a co-host with me this evening, and it is Kristina Bloom. Hi, Kristina. How are you doing?
I am fabulous, Glenn. How are you?
I'm tremendous, feeling very refreshed, and I'm looking forward to this deep dive conversation that we're going to have in a moment. But before we do that, just to let the listeners know that also in this episode, you have the channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their communications through. And then also in this episode, we have this week's energy forecast reading, which will hopefully help you navigate your way through the course of this week. So let's talk about this episode. We're talking about, Kristina and myself, paranormal locations. So, Kristina, first of all, ladies first, I would like you to share your best paranormal locations. Bearing in mind, everybody that's listening, Kristina is from the United States of America, so this is where it gets exciting. Over to you, Kristina.
All right. Hello, everybody. When we talked about what today's topic was going to be and paranormal locations, I know that we are both paranormal investigators, and but I also investigate and not so much investigate, I guess, maybe help people with difficulties that they're having in their homes or their businesses with paranormal activity and that sort of thing. So I have two stories that really jumped to the forefront when we were talking about this. And one of them is a place that's known as Starvation Heights, and that's in the state of Washington. I did this with my paranormal group that I was with at the time when I lived out in Washington. And it was a location where a self-proclaimed doctor was luring in wealthy people with a, a fasting ritual that could help improve their health. Now, mind you, most of these people had nothing wrong with them. She just was very convincing. And it was a female doctor, if I wasn't clear about that. It was Linda Hazard. So she would lure these people to this place in the mountains in Washington State. And it's a beautiful location. I think it's Olalla, Washington, if I remember correctly. Anyway, there's what she had there as a sanatorium became somebody's home afterwards. And the people had called in our investigative team because they had built a new home, ironically adjacent to the other one, which I thought was a little risky, but, you know, whatever makes you happy, I guess. So we went in as a team, and we had 5 people on the psychic team, and then we had, I don't remember how many people on the tech team that went in all together and did this. We had a huge team out there. So the tech team went in first, set up all the cameras, set up all the equipment. And then as a psychic team, we came in and went to do like some ceremony. I'm going to say ceremony. Yeah. And to help release the spirits that were stuck there because they were getting ready to knock the building down. And the building really needed to be knocked down. It was pretty much falling down at that point. But we went into the basement, which has a dirt floor. It's a really old building. It was more than 100 years old. And there were still, I am not even kidding you, they had cages in the basement.
What?
Where they held these people.
Whoa.
Yeah, like some of the people tried to escape and go get help from people in town. And when they caught them, they would bring them back and put them in these cages with a dirt floor. And just before these people died, and a lot of them, and pretty much everybody, a couple people escaped, but most people died there. And just before they died, she would have them sign over all of their money, their possessions, their wealth over to her, and then she would die. And then they would die, and she would get all their stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really creepy location.
Heavy energy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then, everyone kind of, I guess, thinks of Native Americans as pretty peaceful people, but they were warring against each other long before any Europeans got to this country. They were, some of the tribes would be warring against each other. And so there was a lot of death, a lot of, just nasty energy there.
Yeah.
A lot of murder, a lot of, just horrible energy. So we did a ritual where we opened up the space and to let the spirits who wanted to leave and go to the light.
Yeah.
And it was led by a Native American shaman. And so we were there, we had our drums, and we were opening up the column of light from the basement where all those cages and stuff were, which I still get goosebumps when I think about it.
I bet.
Yeah. Ugh, yeah. So we were doing that, and then we walked around the house and the property, all of us, drumming and chanting to help the spirits release. And we didn't realize how many native spirits were there from well before all of this happened. And there was a gully behind this building, and all these spirits just kept coming up out of the building, or out of the gully it was amazing to watch it. If you're able to see, if you're a visual psychic, you could literally see spirits like kind of crawling their way up into the light and then reaching back and helping more come. And it was beautiful for me to be able to see.
What a gift to witness that. That's incredible.
It was. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit though, because as I was walking through the house and I'm drumming, this doctor, the spirit of this doctor, got right up in my face and screamed at me to stop that infernal racket. Racket was the word she used. Yeah. I instantly, like, my sinuses just filled up and I instantly felt sick. And sinus infections don't normally go systemic, but this one did. I was sick for 3 months.
Whoa.
I know, that's the only time I've ever been attacked.
That is a big psychic attack, yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge psychic attack. I learned a lot from that, like how to protect myself better. And we did do, the light circle and all of that ahead of time, but I guess I just didn't protect myself well enough. So yeah, that was one that really got me, but boy, it was so beautiful to watch those spirits.
Yeah,
rising
definitely.
up.
And it's interesting that you should start that at the beginning of the investigation, like cleanse the space rather than wait until the end of the investigation.
This was the second investigation, actually, by that group.
Oh, the second one, right? Okay.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. The group was big enough where we had 2 separate teams. Okay. So the first team went in, did the investigation. My team was called in to clear the space out before they knocked the building down. Okay. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And the lady that her spirit, the doctor who caused all of this, would you say that her spirit's obviously not at peace, not at rest, and she was using that area to sort of relive those events and maybe fuel her own existence?
I believe so. I don't think she's even still gone to the light. She was certainly invited and chose not to go.
Right, yes, there's an element of fear there, what awaits her, so to speak.
Right.
That's fascinating. And you said that was in Washington State?
Washington State, yeah.
And do you know what's built on that land now?
A neighborhood.
So what would be interesting is to find out if they've had any encounters since that clearing has taken place, and obviously that building's been taken away. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the result of that was. I don't remember the people's names, or I'd love to get in touch with them and just say, hey, did we help you?
Yeah.
I'd really like to know that we helped you.
Well, then again, if you was ill for 3 months, you're not going to want to go back to that place, are you?
No. I did not even know. Like, people kept telling me that doesn't happen. Sinus infections don't go systemic. And I'm like, well, this one did.
I've never heard of people having them for 3 months
No,
So wow,
no.
that is
Several
one.
rounds of antibiotics. Yeah, it was nasty.
That's one big learning curve. My
Oh,
word.
yeah.
So, if you don't mind, I'd like to tell you about one of mine.
I would love to hear about
Okay.
one of yours. I was going to say, you're next. I want to hear this.
Well, I've got, like you, probably, I've got a collection. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Newsham Park Hospital, which is in Liverpool in the United Kingdom. And this is renowned for being a haunted location. It's one of the hot spots for any of the paranormal teams that are wanting to investigate. And it used to be a mental hospital, treatment of ill people in that respect. But prior to that, it was used for orphans as well. Orphans to sailors and things of that nature. And they were housed there. But anyway, this place is absolutely huge. It's incredible. The different energies and tiers of energies. There's actually a morgue in this establishment. There's also a cremation pit as well there. And there's also what they described as a naughty boys corridor. And this is quite bizarre. It's literally in the apex area of the building's roof. And it's just a huge corridor full of doors. And you open these doors, and it's literally the size of a small wardrobe in each one, behind each one of these doors. And what they were used for is if there's any sort of like any children that were misbehaving, they would put them and lock them in these little confined spaces for a long period of time until they calm down. And so you can imagine all these young children's vibrations that had suffered there, they were still very much there and active. And upon going there, you could hear giggling, you could hear footsteps running about on the corridor. Obviously, you've got to observe and keep that quietness there to hear it. Some people have reported the doors opening on their own because the original doors are still on those cupboards in that corridor, and you can see them opening up by themselves.
Oh, that's horrible.
But in my experience, when I was there, the children were very playful. You know, there was no, although you felt that negative energy of the experiences that would have gone through, there was a level of playfulness in the atmosphere from them.
Well, that's interesting.
But also in this establishment, we experienced in the basement area is where they keep all the sort of chairs and furniture, and it used to be like a centre for the old people, the aged people, and they would be in the basement area. And anyway, we sat in a circle and we did some calling out and asking out. And in this particular room, around the edge of the room, there was lots of chairs stacked up and placed around. There was also old cookers and things like that at the edge of the room. And so while we was asking out, we all observed a chair moving on its own accord, the other side of the circle, and all of us in the circle heard it and saw it. And as we continued to call out, we all witnessed, I think it was one of the doors on the cooker opening up again by itself. There was lots of knocks in response to the questions we was asking as well. So that was very interesting. And then what we also did is we went in the morgue area where there's like a fridge unit where they used to store obviously all the deceased bodies. And you could actually lie on one of those slabs, so to speak, and people would lock the door so you could get that feeling, which was something else in itself.
So you did that?
Yes, I did. Not for long.
Wow.
I was in and out.
Wow. You are braver than I am.
But it was interesting. It was just pure silence. And then in that silence and blackness, you started to get overwhelmed by these feelings. And you weren't on your own, basically, in there. And then what was interesting is we took in turns to actually stand in the incinerator pit. And it was said that there's still like teeth, jawbones, and that still embedded into the floor area. Although it's been cleaned out because there was that many that had occurred there, there was still that there. So standing in that area was quite overwhelming, energetically speaking.
Oh my gosh.
It's a very peculiar place, and there's lots of wards, again, all empty, that you can walk through. I think we did a bit of channeled psychic art in there as well, but there was taps, there was bangs, never a dull moment in that location. So that's one of the ones I've enjoyed going to. It was a few years ago I went back to that one. So what about yourself? Have you got a number two location that you could share?
I do, actually. This one's kind of a fun one.
Okay.
I teach psychic development, and sometimes I do it in the format of a retreat. So we go away for a weekend, and we spend a whole weekend working on the psychic development program called Intuitive You. And part of that program is a field trip to a haunted location to do kind of an introductory paranormal investigation. And it was actually in my hometown. And a friend of mine was working in a store in the old downtown area that was haunted. The basement especially was haunted. So I got permission to take my group down there. And there were 13 people in that class, plus myself. So there were 14 of us. And we went into this basement of this old store building that was built like in the 1800s or something, which I realize compared to what's built in England is not old, but for here, that's old. So we were in the basement, and I had invited a paranormal team to come in and teach that part of it. I'm perfectly capable, but I thought it would just be fun for my students to have that. So they came in and they brought their equipment, and they had a K2 meter in the middle of a circle, and the leader of that group kept saying, if there are spirits here, feel free to talk to us, light up the K2 meter. Now, I'm standing there in that circle, and directly across from me is the spirit that they're trying to get to play with this thing, and he's just standing there with his arms crossed. And he looked at me and said very clearly, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. I don't like this guy. I don't think he knows what he's doing, and I'm not going to play.
That's very interesting.
And I love that because, I don't know about in the UK, but here in the States, the big argument is, we want empirical evidence. We want scientific evidence. Well, in order to have that, you have to have perfect repetition of an event, and that is never going to happen with the spirit world. You can't even get that with living people. How are you going to get that with people who've crossed over?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I thought it was funny because he's just going, no, I'm not doing that.
A stubborn spirit. That is fantastic.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm like, I like you.
And how did you get out of that situation? Did you get actually anything from him after you had that conversation with him? Did he do anything for you?
No, he absolutely refused to play with any of the equipment, although some of the students he communicated with, and they were able to communicate with him, like we do.
Good. Yeah, that is good.
Intuitively. So there was communication, but he just didn't want to play with the instruments. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not here to perform for people.
I like that. And that's good that it was open to communication, but just not with the electronic devices. And it's wonderful to hear that your students actually connected into his energy there.
Yeah, there were 2 or 3 of them that spoke with him during that field trip. So yeah, that was fun though, just watching his reaction to it going, I'm not doing that.
What did your students say upon, hearing that from you? He says he's not going to do that.
They were like, I wouldn't do that either. And I think it was those few who said, I wouldn't do that either, that he actually spoke to.
Because they empathize with him. Yeah, they understood his vibration. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. And did you get much information about this gentleman?
Yes, we got that he was a pharmacist, that had been the drugstore, that was his drugstore that he opened, that he basically, he was one of the first settlers of the town, and it's still a pretty small town, but he was one of the first settlers in that town, and he was the apothecary. So,
Wow.
yeah.
What a learned man as well. So
Right.
it was
Right. And we were able to verify that with research. So,
oh, that's even better. So you got
mhm.
that evidence backed up there as well. And that was in your
Right.
hometown, you said, as well,
Yep.
where that
Yep.
occurs. Wow, fascinating.
Yeah.
So do you go by that building or that location on a regular basis?
Well, it's a few hours drive from where I am, but when I'm up there, yes,
Okay.
because you can't get out of town without passing it. It's a
Ah.
one-way street.
Oh, okay.
The city is on an island, or it's not even a city. The town is on an island. So you have to cross a bridge on one side or the other to get on and off the island.
Wow, that's incredible.
So,
And what a great
yeah.
idea to take some of your students out in the field, so to speak. And
Yes,
there's no
it's
greater experience than throwing them at the deep end, is there?
right. But I always vet the places first to make sure that it's safe and, you
Yeah.
know, the spirits are friendly. And yeah, I always do that because I think it's fun for my students, but I'm certainly not going to put anyone in danger.
Yeah, yeah, good call on that one, because it only takes one, doesn't it? And then it can,
Right.
like you experienced with your previous encounter, you was
Yeah.
out of it for 3 months. Wow, that
Yeah.
is some lesson. So if you don't mind, I was going to tell you about my second
I
one.
was just going to ask.
Oh,
Yes.
you read my mind.
Jump on in, Glenn.
Okay, so the second one, again, this is in no particular order. They're just the way that it sticks in my mind, is again another popular location in the United Kingdom called 30 East Drive, which is in Pontefract in Yorkshire. And it's renowned for having a so-called black monk that resides there. Lots of what's the word I'm after? Poltergeist activity has been occurring in that building. And in fact, nobody lives there because of it. Nobody's lived there for years. And I believe they based a film on what occurred in that location in the 70s. And they actually filmed in that very household where those things were happening. And since then, nobody's lived in the building. It's just there for the purpose of paranormal investigations. But yeah, it's renowned for having a black monk that's meant to be quite nasty that was there. But probably like yourself, when I go to these locations, I don't like to hear any of the hearsay, any of the history. I don't want to know any of that. I just want to go there as a blank canvas and see what comes through, what communications we can get there. But what I did find interesting about this, which to my knowledge, nobody has picked this up there before, was I did some psychic art whilst I was there, and a reptilian was channeled through in the form of psychic art. And I was then given information that this is one of the shadow beings that had been captured on photograph, and it wasn't a black monk after all.
Wow.
And I was told because of the natural water table underneath the property, this reptilian entity had travelled along these lines, if you know what I mean, those water table streams, in order to get to this property. Because of the activity, because of the energy there, it found it like shall we say, I don't know, like a McDonald's restaurant without promoting them. A fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
So it found itself there, and it was causing a lot of havoc in order to sustain itself. So I found that interesting there. But also one of my colleagues, we was having a group meeting in the downstairs living room and sharing all our encounters. We weren't calling out or anything like that. And he's talking away. The next minute, it was as if somebody had kicked the back of his knees and he just went down on the floor like a sack of potatoes.
Oh my goodness.
And he put his head up and he looked at everybody. He was white as a sheet. He was shaking. And one of the beings there wasn't particularly enjoying what he was talking about. So they kind of took him out to the floor and we all regrouped. We went outside of the building. We calmed him down, and then we went in afterwards, and we all tuned in, and we picked up who it was that did that. But it took him a while to get over that because he was white as a ghost. He was stammering as well because he wasn't expecting it.
Right.
And there was nobody behind him either to do that. So that was interesting there. Also, we had one of the team members that had left a tape recorder there and forgotten all about it. And anyway, upon contacting the owners, they said, oh yeah, I left it in the kitchen there. Anyway, they found this tape recorder in the outbuildings, and nobody had put it in the outbuildings. Nobody had put it there. So
wow,
again,
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, so that was another bit of evidence. And also the fact that when you leave the building, you're instructed to turn all the lights off the building, lock the door, and then hand over the keys to the caretaker there, which was done because you follow it to the letter. Anyway, they did that. The next day, we got a phone call saying, I thought I asked you to turn the lights off. We did turn the lights off, and we did an idiot check twice. And yet
I love that idiot check.
and then, and the lights were on. So again, more phenomena there. So that's a location that that does keep on giving. But I find that if you show that level of respect, which I'm sure you'll agree, you get more phenomena.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No one wants to be disrespected. You know, in body, out of body, doesn't matter. Nobody wants to be disrespected.
Definitely. So have you got any more juicy ones to share with our listeners?
I do have one more, and I
Okay.
actually chose 3 very different kinds of stories.
Yeah.
Because I want people to understand that there is no normal when we're dealing with the paranormal. Like, everything is different every time. Even if you go back to the same location, you don't get the same thing every time. So, but this one was actually, it was for a client, and they had a little boy, and they had just built a play set in the backyard, you know, with like swings and slides and all of that.
Yeah.
And ever since they built it, every time he went out and played on it, he would get really angry. Like, he would be fine when he went out there, and then he would come in the house, he'd be really angry, and he'd be throwing stuff, and he would just be really, really angry. And so they called me in to find out what was it about this play structure that was setting him off so much. And as it turns out, it wasn't the structure itself, it was where they built it.
Oh,
So
okay.
Go back 200 or 300 years, and there was a small settlement on that property, which is now a farm out in the country. And there was, on that spot, there was a boy who was maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that, and had provoked the town drunk into a fight. And the man beat the child to death. And it became a residual haunting. So that scene just kept playing over and over and over for a couple hundred years. And it was really interesting because this was the one that taught me that you can actually intervene into a repetitive haunting like that and make a difference. So I asked my guides to come in and help, and they stepped in and broke up the fight, got the story. The kid had come from a very violent home, a very abused home, and he just couldn't face going home to it one more day. So he just decided he was going to find a way to end it all. And so he provoked this poor man into killing him, basically. Okay. And with the child, we were like, who do you want to come and get you? And he said his grandmother. So we asked for his grandmother, and she came and got him and took him off to the light. And this poor disoriented man was just sitting there crying. Like, I was just watching him sitting there crying on this spot. And at that time, I couldn't even see the play structure anymore. He was just sitting there. And I asked him, okay, who do you want to come and bring you to the light? And he said, I can't go to the light. I killed a child. And yeah, you can. Actually, there's forgiveness here.
Yeah.
And So he said, okay, if I can be forgiven, I want Christ to come and get me. So I'm like,
Wow.
boy, I hope he answers this call.
Yeah.
I did. I called Christ to come and get him, and he did, and took that man off to the light. And then after that, no more problems with the play structure. Okay, go, your turn.
Wow. That's amazing. That's beautiful. Well, we have come to the end of our little section.
Oh,
That is incredible. And it's good to leave people wanting more, isn't there? So I'm sure we're going to dive even further on our next episode. But thank you, Kristina. It's been a pleasure to hear about all of your encounters. And hopefully it gives something for people to think about and consider. So, Kristina, have you got a website or any way that people can contact you if they're wanting to find out more information about yourself?
I do. And also, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share these stories. My website is my name, KristinaBloom.com. And Kristina is with a K. Bloom is with 2 O's, because I know that both of those things can be spelled differently. Okay. So KristinaBloom.com. There is a contact page on my website. You can also find me on Facebook at Kristina Bloom, Your Spiritual Advisor. It's a group that you can go into and join. Otherwise, you can send me a message at Kristina L. Bloom, L for Lynn, and get me that way through Messenger. I am also on TikTok and Instagram. Instagram is Kristina Bloom SA, SA for Spiritual Advisor. And I just started my TikTok. I do not remember my screen name on TikTok, but I'm sure if you search my name, you can find me.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you, Kristina, and I look forward to our next episode next month.
Me too, because you owe me a story.
Okay, bless you. Take care then. Bye for now.
All right.
Well, now we're moving on to the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdom and communications through. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's channeling from spirit.
Hello and good afternoon. Thank you for listening. We'd like to talk to you about numerous topics, one of them being yourself. Most of you that are listening to this transmission right now will be feeling a little bit peculiar, down to the fact that everything's changing, shifting and aligning in the universal plane, and so on and so forth. You will be changing on an individual basis. Your likes will change. The way that you interact with people will change. Your connection between people that aren't on your vibration will change. And you'll feel a level of uncomfortability when you go throughout this process. So we're wanting to tell you about this ahead of it opening up and going full force. And there's only one way you could help yourself away through this circumstance and situation, and that is simply trusting and going with the flow. Do not resist. The more you resist, the more you will feel uncomfortable in your life, and you will find yourself going round in circles and just feeling more uncomfortable than ever. There's going to be those of you that will find a lot of comfort in spending time in nature, in the quiet, in the solitude, and you'll feel very relaxed, very comfortable. You'll also find that you'll become increasingly sensitive after going in nature, and you'll find that you'll be picking up on other people's emotional vibrations. Now, what we say to you is, if you can get into the habit of getting into some sort of protection modality, where you are placing yourself in a colored ball of light or protective shell of light, the choice is entirely yours, but the fact that you're setting these intentions will help you survive, and we use that term survive, will help you survive and thrive in these times of unrest. So, also pay attention to your breathing. A lot of you will be breathing rather quickly, and you won't realize that you're breathing in this manner, other than the fact that you'll be getting lightheaded. You'll be feeling a little bit dizzy, And tired as well is another symptom of this. All you need to do with this situation is simply observe your breathing and notice whether you're breathing shallow breaths or long, elongated breaths. And we say to you, to amend this situation, you need to focus on the breathing and slow it down. And keep those breaths long and slow. And what you will find is that you will get additional oxygen levels in your physical body that will help you maintain your vibration, your energy, and help you to stay conscious in every one moment. If you don't do this, then you will have bouts of feeling dizzy and tiredness, like we say. Now there's another communicator that's wishing to come through and communicate with you, so thank you for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon. God bless and bye for now. Would you like to know something? Something's gonna change. Something's about to change very soon for everybody that's listening to this. And like the previous communicator said, it referred to energy vibration. But we say that it's almost going to be like the 100 monkey. What we mean by that is there's enough consciousness in the population of the universe, in the planet Earth, should we say, that will tip the scales and offset the vibrations. And so, like the previous communicator said, you will be feeling slightly out of sorts, and you will want to spend more time alone. That is quite right in me saying that, but also you'll notice there's going to be a lot of people that will be losing their minds, so to speak. And what we mean by this is the fact that they won't be able to consciously choose or consciously have themselves in the present moment. Apologies, because we are blending with another communicator now that's coming through like there. Yes, better. That's a lot better. That's a lot better indeed. Apologies. The way it works, our side of life, is that there's a collective of souls, of energies, that are all wanting to come through, and it's the elected spokesperson or the dominant frequency that is allowed to step forward and bring forward their communications. And on this occasion, this is where I was allowed to step in order to bring this communication more prominently to you. So as we were saying, there's going to be a big shift that's going to be occurring, and a lot of people will be finding it increasingly difficult to stay in their present moment consciousness, as they will be drifting in and out of dimensions. They'll be going into their past. They'll be projecting thoughts into their future. And with doing this, there's no set sort of control mechanism in place to the point where they feel that they're in alignment with their soul purpose. So your role, those of you that are listening to this, your role is to simply remind people of who they are and their purpose in which they elected to choose upon coming down here. So with this being said, you'll have lots of work to do. With this work, this light work, as I would like to term it, I would certainly say that you just need to be patient and have a good listening ear to people that are communicating and having these experiences. What you will find is they'll feel comfortable, they'll feel relaxed about talking about the subject matters in question, and in doing so, they won't find it peculiar in speaking about these things. So that will in turn allow them to align with their higher self and feel confident and comfortable in that vibration that they continue to hold in this present moment consciousness. Now there's a lot going off. Also, there's going to be movements within your society where there's what we would term as a split in society. There will be various members of your community that will have a certain narrative and agenda in their subconscious mind, and no matter how hard anybody else tries to convince them and show them the truth of the situation, they will be adamant that they are correct. And it is with great love and unconditional healing that you must send these individuals so that they make that choice, the choice of love, the choice of high vibrational frequency. And so eventually they will get on their pathway. But until then, they will have to go through this period of learning lessons and understanding who they truly are. Your role, as we say, is just to listen and then communicate without condemnation, without belittling these individuals, just allowing them that platform to speak. That will be healing enough to allow this energy to be removed from them. Thank you for listening. There's somebody else wanting to come through, so I will bid you a farewell. Oh, I'm the old flower pot. You all right, eh? It's been a while since I've come through. Anyway, I want to tell you that music is the key. You'll need to listen to more music. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're into music such as classical music, pop music, rock music, whatever the style of music may be, traditional. The fact that you're aligning with frequency within those compositions will actually help you through these unusual times that all of these communicators have spoke upon. So between now and December of this year of 2023, music will actually help you ascend. You'll find it calming. You'll find it very healing. And you'll also find it places you in a bubble of protection. You'll find it will serve you well. So music is something we want you to all listen to. And you'll experience your ears tingling. You'll feel your entire body tingling with high vibrations as you listen to music. You'll get goosebumps, as what some of you would describe it as. And these goosebumps will actually be the indication to tell you that not only is it your spirit guides that are drawing forward close to you, but also that your family members are as you're listening to music. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're listening to it on headphones, whether you're listening to it in your own room or in your house, or whether you're listening to it whilst you're travelling in your own car or van or train or bus, whatever it is. You will notice these very subtle changes around your physical and energetic body when you start to listen to more music. Also, I wanted to tell you that there's a lot of you that are turning on, and what I mean by that is that you're becoming increasingly more sensitive to vibrations. There'll be those people that would have said at one time that I'm about as sensitive as a brick. In other words, they didn't have any sensitivity. Now, those characters that have been saying it will all of a sudden start to pick up on energy. They will feel other people's vibration. They'll start to feel uncomfortable in certain rooms and locations. This is an indication to them that their sensitivity indeed is being switched on and is online. And also they'll find themselves feeling increasingly uncomfortable in the company of various, shall we say, individuals. At one time they were great friends with these individuals, but they'll find that their vibration is going against theirs, and they'll feel this level of uncomfortability. So there's a lot happening, and we thought we'd give you this little heads up before it unfolded, so that you could have a greater understanding of what you need to be doing in order to stay high vibrational, stay in alignment with your truth and your purpose, and not feel intimidated by everyone around you losing their present moment consciousness. In other words, not understanding what's going on, displaying elements of fear and maybe projecting elements of fear into society. So we wanted to pre-warn you ahead of this unfolding, and for you to focus on what you want, What do you really want out of your life? Connect to your higher self, focus on your breathing, listen to music, and you'll find that it will steer you away from all of this chaos that is about to unfold. And we say it's chaos because it's really down in the eye of the beholder. So if you focus your intention of it, your interpretation of these events could be chaos. But in fact, if you were to see the greater lesson in the situation, you would say, well, actually, it's just energy changing. And the way it has to change is it has to reach a crescendo of this magnitude so that everybody is aware of these untruths coming up to the surface. So it's all a matter of perception and you being in alignment. So thank you for listening for me rambling on today. There's one more communicator that was wishing to come through and bring a little bit of sound healing so that you can be prepared ahead of these changes coming in. And we want to say in the month of October of 2023, a lot of these changes that we speak of will be starting to occur globally as well. So here's your next communicator with the sound healing.
What an amazing communication there from Spirit, hearing all about the vibrational changes that we're all going to go through. And being drawn to nature will help this process also expand. Listening to music there will also help us through these trying and testing changes. And then the sound healing at the end was fantastic. It made me tingle and it made me feel clear in my head. So we're going to move on to this week's energy forecast reading. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday, the 18th of September, 2023. Now, those of you that watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot cards. So what I'm about to do, just shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out for you for this week. So here is this week's card. And I'm now going to link into the vibration of that to bring forward your message for this week. First of all, I'm being told that this week is going to be littered with opportunities for you. And I feel as though you're going to be starting to see the fruits of all your labors, your hard work. I feel as though that these little elements are coming to you incrementally this week. So you'll see little signs that it's about to pay off, all that hard work that you've been putting in behind the scenes. I also feel that you need to de-stress and detoxify your vibration this week. What I'm talking about is those old connections to maybe people, friends that you've outgrown, or even situations that you've outgrown. See the blessings in the situation and send love and healing to all concerned. And I'm talking about unconditional love, the universal love, in order to cut those cords of attachment and to flow better in your present moment reality. I also feel that this week you'll feel the urge to express yourself, whether this is through the medium of art, singing, dancing, or even having fun, or even just clearly expressing yourself directly there through your your voice to those around you. Either way, I do feel as though this urge will be so overwhelming to the point that you will not be able to contain it any longer. I do sense with you, though, that this week you'll have an interest in visiting different locations. Even if you're not going to do it this week, you will have that interest and that inclination to do some research about looking at certain areas that align with you. So watch out for you doing that this week. And can you be aware also of your neck, around the back of your neck this week? I feel as though those of you that are watching this will experience a little bit of stiffness. And I feel as though this is connected to energies in and around you there. It's about letting go. It's about that connection, that bridge between your heart space and your mind. And it's about letting that urge to control situations go and just follow that wisdom of your heart in every single moment. So watch out for that this week. So I'm going to turn the card over and go through it with you. So at the top of the card, it reads Queen of Raphael. Then it says kind, understanding, giving, and psychic as well. Well, first of all, Queen represents sitting in the seat of your own power there and also taking responsibility. It also represents your crown chakra and receiving inspirational ideas. And also it represents the feminine energy. So whether you're male or female, it's talking about your sensitivity. So watch out for your sensitivity playing a very prominent part in your life this week there. And you'll use it in order to make your present moment decisions. As I say, it says Queen of Raphael, so it also represents the angel realm are with you at this moment in time, protecting you, guiding you, and making sure that you're back on track within your life there as well. At the bottom of the card, it reads, follow your heart, a love of home and family, trustworthy psychic information. Well, all of this I feel as though is referring to that inner wisdom that my guides were speaking about, following your heart and this tussling between your mind and your heart. And it's in actual fact your heart that's going to lead you on your correct pathway this week there as well. Also, it's saying to you that, that the information that you do receive high vibrationally will serve you for your highest good and also for those around you also there as well. So let's take a look into the artwork and the coloration of the card. We've got the color green around the edge. So to me, that indicates growth within you this week. And I feel as though it's talking about circumstances, people, situation that you've outgrown. And this week, you're going to be more aware of it. And with being more aware of it, you're going to actually have an understanding that, okay, I will let that element of me go now. It no longer serves me. It's not feeling right anymore. And this goes in alignment with what we were saying about following the wisdom of your heart. And you'll have a knowing about this. And so this will be you kickstarting the new direction of your life. It also represents the heart chakra, which also is telling you to follow that heart wisdom there. And also, I feel as though you've got to be a little bit more gentle with yourself this week as well. And stop putting yourself down is what I'm being told to tell you. In terms of your appearance, in terms of your personality, stop putting yourself down and actually know that you're worthy of people's time and affection. And when you come to that realization, you'll be surprised at the people that are naturally drawn and attracted to you. But it all starts with you giving yourself that love and taking that divinity back for yourself. In the artwork itself, we've got this feminine energy, you sitting in a throne there, again going with what we're saying, Queen. So it's talking about you sitting in the seat of your own power. It's also talking about you being more observant this week there as well, taking responsibility back and making just decisions based upon your observations. It's also telling you to rest when you feel that inclination to do so. And in actual fact, by resting, you'll be able to see the bigger picture in your life a lot more easier than what you have done in the past there as well. We've got this beautiful ocean scene there as well. That would indicate your emotions and frequencies changing. So with that being the case, some of your old emotions will be coming to the surface. So if you feel a little bit agitated this week, maybe a little bit angry for no reason whatsoever, this will be the old vibrations, your old emotions coming to the surface so that you can be aware of them. It is now time to let them go because they're no longer serving you. There's obviously the angelic realm in the back there observing you and making sure that you're following your life's path in accordance with your soul agreement there. So this goes in alignment with listening to the wisdom of your heart, because this is the way that the spirit guides and also the angels will be communicating with you. There's going to be repetitive signs shown to you this week, either colors, this could be animal totems, could be numbers, could even be feathers, or even repetitive words that show up whilst you're out and about. You hear these words being mentioned in conversation. Just be all eyes and ears and feelings this week, as I feel that will be your guidance system coming into alignment. There's also a horizon in the back of this card as well. So this is saying that the good things are on the way to you. But have that faith, have that patience. Don't force things, don't rush things. Just be patient, do the inner work, and observe and notice. The signs will be there to let you know that it's on its way to you there as well. There's dolphins in the background. In fact, there's 2. So I want to give you the angel number of number 2 to research as well. And I feel as though it represents you being more playful in your life as well. So I want you to research the animal totem of the dolphin as well. But I feel as though it's telling you to, yes, do the deep dive within your emotions. But once you've done that, allow yourself to be a little bit gentle on yourself. Have fun. Be playful. And I don't feel as though you'll be doing this on your own, with there being 2 dolphins there as well. So there'll be somebody close to you that will be on this journey with you, that will appreciate your fun and love and laughter there as well. There's also a crescent moon in the background that would indicate emotions changing, and this will actually be a blessing in disguise. So allow yourself to go with that vibration. So that's what I picked up for this week's energy forecast reading. I hope that has aligned with you. Thank you for hearting, liking, commenting and sharing. If you've enjoyed what you've seen on here and you would like to help and support me, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link, which is a virtual tip jar. And so any of your donations that are sent and received will be used in accordance with all the spiritual work that I do to help me to help as many people physically and spiritually possible in these rather unusual times. Also, if you'd like a one-to-one private reading, head over to my website, www.glenboddispiritualmedium.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium, and arrange your booking there. Join me every Monday, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time for my radio show, From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, talking about all things spiritual, paranormal, and self-help. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Bye for now.
Well, it looks like we're all in for an interesting week unfolding for us all this week, where we have to let go of some of the old facets within ourselves in order to move forward. Very interesting indeed. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this week's show. It's been a little bit different, and I've loved every moment they're discussing the paranormal investigations with my co-host, Kristina Bloom. It was always a joy, always a pleasure to connect with her and hear how things are occurring the other side of the pond in the United States of America there. So thank you for that, Kristina. If anybody has any show suggestions, any ideas, or even any paranormal stories, self-help stories, spiritual stories that they'd be willing for me to read out on the show, then please do get in touch by heading over to my website, www.glenboddispiritualmedium.com, or email me at glenboddice@live.co.uk. It would be fantastic to hear from you and share your encounters as well. Also, to hear some of your feedback on some of the content that we provide you with in this show. So join me next week on Monday, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, with this very show, From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, on www.pulsetalkradio.com, and I look forward to your company there. In the meantime, have a fantastic week. Whatever it is you're doing, do it with love, do it with pride, and trust your higher self. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and
services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium